What's up, everybody? This is Nicole Newton, the owner and CEO of 31 Recruiting and Training Services. I just want to talk a little bit about coaching, and in particular basketball, because that's my field, that's my lane. Being a former coach, but I say former, but once you coach, you've been in a while, you're always a coach. I mean, no matter how old your former players get, they still call you coach, which I think is an earned title. It's not something that you just, okay, I'm coaching the team, call me coach. I think that's earned as a respect thing. But I just want to talk about some of the coaching incompetencies that I've witnessed over time, probably even been a part of in my younger days. But it's my prayer, my hopes that one day GHSA will eliminate that rule that head coaches, especially at the high school level, must be gotta be teachers, admin, something like that. I think, and I'm not saying just pull any old Joe off the street and say, okay, used to be a hella fine basketball player back in your day, here, come coach this team. No, that's not what I'm talking about. The thing that bothers me about that rule is I feel like a lot of sports, in particular the women's game, you kind of get the short end of the stick, because a lot of times it's an issue where I've been in places where they're like, well, you got to coach more than one sport. You can't just coach basketball. I've been in places like that. I've been told that. I'm pretty sure there's other coaches around the state that's been in systems like that. It's a lot. If you really are a dedicated head coach, it's a lot that comes with that. And if you're talking about, I'm the head coach of a basketball team, I'm also a teacher, and Lord bless y'all content teachers that also are head coaches of many sport. Lord bless y'all. I'm serious, because that's a lot of responsibility, a lot of work. But if you're dedicated to coaching and helping your players get to the next level, it's time consuming. And you gotta think about, let's say a typical school starts at 8 o'clock. Some start a little earlier than that, but typical high school, your class starts at 8 o'clock. You may be required to get to work at maybe 7:15-ish. Okay, mind you, you just had practice the night before, maybe a game. You didn't get home. It depends, your facility situation. If you got to share, the boys and girls team share the same gym, you got to work out the practice schedule, so you may have a late practice. Okay, you may get home by 10 o'clock if you're lucky. You may get home at 10. If you got a contest, you had a game, 10 o'clock is on the early end that you can get home, especially if it was a road game, because you got to wait for, if you're home, even if you're away, you got to wait for parents to come pick up your kids that can't drive, or whatever the case may be. You got to wait. So it's a long day for you. When you're in season, it's a long day. And you talking about, okay, a lot of schools have huddle now. I've never had huddle as a coach, as a head coach. So guess what I was doing? I get somebody to record my games, and I'm analyzing film, breaking down film, so next practice session I can have these points already highlighted where I want the team to look at things that we need to improve on. So you gotta think about that. If you're really into it, you're putting together individual highlight films for your seniors, maybe if they haven't signed already, junior, senior class. You're putting that together, trying to get coaches to be interested in signing them for a scholarship. It's a lot that goes with that. It's a lot. And then you're talking about y'all content teachers that are coaches. You got department meetings. If you're a department head, whoa, I mean, it's a lot that goes with that. So that's why, if I'm ever in a position to where my opinion matters when it comes to that, I'm pushing for that rule to be stricken out, because it's a lot to ask of one person. And God forbid you have a family of your own and younger kids, and you don't get that time. You don't get a lot of family time. If you're a head coach, you don't get a whole lot of family time. It's chaotic, but it's chaotic in a good way. But I just feel like the women's game, high school gets the short end of the stick when it comes to that, because a lot of times this is where the administration goes and say, all right, well, we can't get nobody to coach them, so you're gonna coach them. And that person's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to coach. Well, we need you, da da da. So if that person says, hey, I don't want to coach, and somebody is making them coach, what quality of coach do you think you're gonna get? Not very good. And it'll show. The team will hate, you get players quitting left and right. Nobody wants to play, and it's just not, the quality of what you could have is not as good versus getting somebody who wants to be there and that's all they have to focus on. That should be it. You should have to meet a certain set of standards. Yes, you should still have to take the test and pass it with GHSA. That's fine. But I think it should go like with your colleges, where your bigger schools, some of the smaller schools, you have to teach a class, but your bigger schools, you just coach, and that's all you do. That's all you do. But it's more detailed, but that's all you do, and I think that should be the case. You get coaches that are, I hate to say, incompetent when it comes to what it takes to run a team, what it takes to get your team prepared, what it takes to break down game film. These kids should know about scouting reports long before they get to college. You should have game film. You should get film from somewhere. I don't know how it works at the high school level with the film exchange and things like that. I'm not sure, but you should be able to do all those things. And to require a head coach to be, all right, you gotta be a teacher. All right, you got staff meetings, you got department meetings, you got parent-teacher conferences, you got a meeting with the principal, you got all these things going on. Oh, now I still gotta go run practice. I still gotta prepare them for this game coming up. It's rough. It is rough. It really is. And unless you're at one of these schools like I'm trying to think of these schools that just powerhouse schools when it comes to girls basketball, like maybe Holy Innocents, or I think Buford used to be good. This is back when I played, back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Buford, Holy Innocents, what was the other teams we used to play? Josie just won a state championship last year. Man, it was so many powerhouse schools where that coach has been there for decades, and it's not a coaching carousel because those coaches want to be there. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you got that coach that's been there for 20, 30 years, and they just continue to crank out a good product when it comes to their basketball teams, that's where you see the difference, and where you see every year schools have a different head coach for their girls. That's not fair to those kids. It's not fair at all. And it shouldn't be that way. So I think that's something GHSA needs to look at. You got to think about the kids. Is it really about the kids? Think about that. I don't know the reasoning for. I haven't researched anything like that. I don't know the reason of why that's a requirement to be a head coach at the high school level, but it needs to stop. It really needs to stop, because these kids deserve more than that. They deserve someone who wants to be there. Someone who wants to be there. Someone who has the credentials to coach, run a team. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you gotta put these kids first in their future. Just think about this. I'm gonna leave you with this thought. A kid that's on the fence about playing basketball, a girl, let's say that, a young lady that's on the fence about playing basketball. You know how we like to tell tall kids, hey, you tall, you should play basketball. So maybe that young lady was like, okay, I've never played before, but I'll give it a try. And never had anybody work with her, one-on-one. So this kid goes out for school, the school team, maybe she's a sophomore, junior. She's not new, she's not a freshman. Maybe she's a sophomore, junior. And she gets placed with one of these coaches that some administrator told them they're going to coach the basketball team. So that young lady who had all the potential has this bad taste in her mouth, and I'm not playing next year. I don't want to play no more. It's not fun. It's not fun. And I feel like I'm not learning anything. Nobody's telling me, working with me, telling me what to do. And granted, we can't put it 100% on the coaches, but just think about that young lady who could have turned out to be an all-world player. She gave it up because of a coach. Think about that. So like I said, if it's ever a chance that I'm in a position where I can vote or even bring that up as legislation that needs to be looked at, dissected, I will, because it's not fair. It's not fair, especially with the women's game. It's not fair at all. So those are just my thoughts for today, and we'll talk to you next time.